honest. I was expecting more distortion there, like on the record. Let you get me open! However, I love that they are just... Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the studio with a good cup of coffee for one more vocal analysis. And today we're going to listen to Linkin Park, the Emptiness Machine stripped down version. So I was scrolling through YouTube the other day, and then this came up, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting, because I've never seen an acoustic performance of Linkin Park with the new lineup. And if you guys are not new here, you know already that I'm just loving this new phase of Linkin Park. I love Emily Armstrong's vocals, her technique, and the songwriting itself. Like, the songs are so good in this new album. And if you are new here, my name is Kyle Lesh. I'm a singer-songwriter and voice teacher, and I'd like to let you know that my course, Building Your Voice, is now on sale for a price that I've never done before, and I don't know how long I'll keep it. In there, we talk about active vocal schemes, passive vocal schemes, ornaments such as runs, vibratos, yodels. We talk about vocal distortions, how to practice, learn, apply them in a safe way for your voice. We talk about breathing support. We talk about vocal physiology if you want to understand more about what the muscles that you have are doing inside your larynx to produce the sounds that you are singing with. We have a vocal exercise library for you to exercise each of the techniques that we cover in there, and we even have a bonus module on music theory for singers. I'm really happy about all the material that we have in there and the community of singers that we are creating. So again, if you want to be my student, Building Your Voice, link down below. Also, this Friday, I'm releasing a new song of mine. I'm really happy about that. It's called I'll Be There. I'll also leave the link down below, but remember that it will only be available on Friday, the 26th of September. So if you're watching this video before that, it will become available on Friday. And I like to point that out because sometimes you're watching vocal analysis, vocal reactions, any kind of content that's been created by a voice teacher, vocal coach, and then you wonder, you become curious, okay, but this person, of course, can talk about voice, but how's their singing? And I like to make clear that I'm also on the battlefield as a singer myself, with my band, with my solo work, like this song that I'm releasing, I'll Be There. So I'd love for you to check it out, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to read your comments, so that would mean a lot to me. And I will not tell you what the song is about. It's interesting, but I made a post on Instagram yesterday about that, so it's one of my recent posts there, where I talk about the process of writing a song and what was the inspiration for it. So if you want to know, I'll leave the link for my Instagram also down below. Okay, so now without further ado, let's listen to Linkin Park, the Emptiness Machine stripped down version.
Your blades are sharpened with precision, flashing your favorite point of view.
I love that there's a note there ringing the whole time. They... I think he's playing. Yeah. So I believe that what he's doing there. One minor. Yeah. One minor. Flat 6. One minor. Flat 7. It's building, reading, or color.
I know exactly how this ends. I let you cut me open just to watch me play. Gave up who I am.
Okay, so this is already interesting. It's not about voice, but something that I find really cool about the songwriting itself and about the performance. I think he was omitting some notes from the chords, like, for instance, instead of playing maybe the A minor, he was playing the A with the 5th. So what would basically be a power chord. Maybe doubling with the octave, the A. Maybe that wasn't the case for the F. I feel like we have the 3rd for the F, but that could have been the case for the G, which would be the flat 7. I don't feel that we have a 3rd there. And then I feel like whenever they start building up, he starts adding those 3rds, maybe some 7s. I don't know. I don't think so. But that could be the case later on. But Yeah, that's a great strategy for whenever you want to create more color as you're building your song. You're adding color to the sound, adding texture. You can start by omitting certain color tones, like the third, and then you can add those tones later, and then you can also add tensions like the. So this would be the A minor. You could add, for instance, the ninth, and I love that. Yeah, to create more color. All right, let's keep going. In terms of voice, I don't know why his vocal folds are active or in active tension, which means that we have more blood flow. They are engaging more to close, and this is just what he does on the record as well. I feel like here slower than on the record. And we have some fade out as well. What I won't receive. Like, starts to ease into a passive technique as he is ending the phrase.
Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. The emptiness machine.
This is so cool.
Going around like a revolver. It's been decided how we lose. 'Cause there's a fire under the old.
The harmony is so good.
I keep on lying to. I keep on.
Okay, so she's also singing with her vocal folds active mainly. However, she's singing the E4, so that means that we have another vocal scheme. So here is the thing. Above the E4, we have a change in the physiology of the singing behavior. We have the CTs working a bit more to stretch the vocal folds. They become preponderant over the TAs to stretch so that we can reach those high notes. And singing up there with active vocal folds also demands a greater level of firmness. So the muscles that we have in the back of your throat, we call those the firming muscles. So lateral cricoid muscles, arytenoid oblique muscles, and transverse arytenoid muscle. They need to work a bit more, embracing the back of your throat so that you don't experience vocal breaks. This is not that high yet, so this would be only the first note of where that happens. And inside vocal anthropophysiology, which is the framework for my work as a voice teacher / vocal coach, vocal anthropophysiology, we call these specific vocal scheme, so active vocal folds up above the E4 on the piano, we call that a warn voice. The voice that you would use to warn someone about something. Oh! Yeah, exactly. This speech here is very short, but we can and we will go higher later in the song, I'm pretty sure. I don't think this is the original key, by the way. It sounds great.
Already pulling me in, already under my skin, and I know exactly how this ends. I let you cut me open.
Let you cut me open. This is so cool. Let you cut me open. I was expecting, to be honest, more distortion there, like on the record. Let you cut me open. However, I love that they are just going straight into a different version of the song that sounds more raw. Yeah, we might have distortions later, but I love that this version is different. It sounds amazing.
Just to watch you win, gave up whoever you wanted me to be. Don't know what I'm hoping, what I went through, falling from the promise of.
Okay, let me double check something here.
Don't know what I'm hoping, what I went through, falling from you wanted me to be. Don't know what I'm hoping, what I went through.
Okay, I won't tell you guys what I heard. If you're a Linkin Park fan, you might know. But let me know in the comments if you heard that as well and what you think it is. Mike is smiling, by the way. Yes, she's not only making it higher, doing a glissando there, a slide, but also making it brighter. Another thing that I would like to point out, distance from the microphone. I always say that it is a good sign when we are singing closer to the microphone, because it means that the singer is controlling the volume at the source level instead of like making a huge sound, pushing a lot of air, making the muscles sometimes even like overload themselves to produce all that big sound, and then just like getting the microphone on the other end of the street. That's not a good sign, because again, especially depending on the sounds that you're using, especially if you are into singing with vocal distortions, if you are into belting those high notes with a worn voice, that might get you tired, and that might even hurt your voice depending on the technique that you're using, depending on how loud you're making it. So it's always a good idea to have the microphone a bit closer, and then you control the volume of what you're using. If you have the right technique, you'll be able to do that. That doesn't mean that all of the techniques in the world will be super quiet. No, some techniques have more volume, but what we don't want is to be singing from here like this. No, we want to have the microphone close. Now, this is further away from the microphone than what would be expecting from a live performance in a scenario in which they would have the full band, they would have drums, electric guitars plugged on and really loud. However, she's been consistent with it. So she's singing the chorus, which is a bit heavier, with kind of the same distance as she's using for the verse. So that's a good sign. Since everything is a bit cozier and they're close together, the instruments are acoustic, then it makes sense not to be too close to the microphone if you fear that the volume of the technique would be too loud comparing to the other instruments. So she just picked the distance and she's been consistent with that. This is a good sign. It's not a good sign when you are singing like this for the verse, and then for the chorus you're like there, and yeah. And we do have vocal distortions happening there. I'm not sure if that was a glottic distortion or a superglottic distortion. Let us listen to that again. Don't know. I don't know if she's singing what or why. Don't know why I'm hoping. And then she immediately goes back into the clean sound. That sounds great. Yeah, I'd say glottic. Super glottic would be more like, and I feel that hers is a bit heavier. Don't know why I'm hoping. And then a passive technique there. Also, she's going to passive. Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. Don't know why I'm hoping so we have a breathy voice there. But then we also have what we call Gregorian voice, which is when you have the vocal folds passive. We are not applying tension to close them, but we are still wanting to project the sound. We are still wanting to be heard. So freaking naive. This would be a Gregorian voice. So freaking naive. Gregorian voice, and a breathy voice would be so freaking naive. And she's using both, like so freaking naive. And we also have the weak voice, which would be making everything a bit quieter. And as you might expect, we don't use a lot of weak voice when you're singing. Sometimes we use it as a fade out technique, like if I want to use a breathy voice or a Gregorian voice for most of it. But then for some words, I can make it super dramatic by easing into a weak voice. So freaking nice. Yeah.
Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. The emptiness machine.
Listen to the vibrato. The emptiness has. Woo! It sounds beautiful. And I like how different it sounds from the record. It's quite different. Not only the instruments, but the vocals are also raw, cleaner, per se. And I really like when artists make these different versions of a song. And especially in this setting, sometimes that's exactly how the song, even when it is a heavier song, sometimes, most of the times, this is how the song was conceived. You know, you have acoustic instruments, you have soft vocals, just to hear how the melody sounds, how it fits with the harmony of the chords. So yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to listen to the song in what was probably the way it was created. And even if it wasn't, it sounds amazing. And yeah, I can't hide how happy I am for Linkin Park to be back and how I appreciate the fact that the band seems to be doing really, really well. But I would like to know your thoughts. So what do you think about this performance? Leave it down below. If you want to develop your own voice, learning passive vocal schemes, active vocal schemes, ornaments such as yodels, vibratos, runs, breathing support, vocal physiology, vocal distortions, for you to practice, learn, and apply them in a healthy and safe way for your voice, we have a complete module on vocal distortions inside the course. We also have a vocal exercise library with exercise for you to practice each of these techniques. So again, that's my course, Building Your Voice. If you want to become my singing student, link down below. Also, I like to reinforce that this Friday I'm releasing a new song of mine. It's called I'll Be There. If you are into this kind of music, more acoustic and chill, I'm confident you will like it. So again, it will be linked down below. It will go live on Friday, the 26th of September. Alright? Consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell button. That helps me a lot with the algorithm so that these videos can reach more people. You enjoy your coffee, you enjoy your day. And remember, if your concepts cannot be seen in the real world, they must change, and not the world.